Hey, I'm Zach Scott.
Hey, I'm Mitchell Bergener.
I'm Shane Esterking.
Eric Wolfson.
Today we're going to be presenting our game Ill Bill. So just a quick outline of the presentation we're going to give today. We're going to start with our design process that we had when we were developing this game. And the development process we had when we were developing this game. Our overall flow of the game, some of the AI topics we've used in the game, some stretch goals that we still haven't implemented, how we play tested our game, and then we'll finish up with a quick demo. So first we'll meet the squad. We have Mitchell Bergender, who designed our main body and the AI and structure behind it. We have Shane Exterkamp, who did all of our art, also created the game Virus Defense, which has a time version and a score-based version, and did a lot of our UI elements. My name's Zach Scott. I did the Artery Runner game and some UI elements. And Eric Wolfson did the Bloodstream Battle minigame and made it so we could save our game on Android.
Right, so our little one-sentence pitch is you can take control of Bill's immune system to ward off deadly viruses in a fight for survival. And so to do that, we've made an Android 2D game, and we have deadly viruses that spawn all over Bill's body. And in order to combat them, you have to complete mini games to get rid of the viruses. But if you fail to complete the mini games, then complications happen and things quickly start to spiral out of control. And so each mini game has a dynamic difficulty level, which will increase as time goes on.
So our development process, we used Unity with C#, just like everybody else did. The first thing we did was basically learn how to use Unity, so we started by making an Artery Runner and Virus Defense mini games. After we got those pretty much good to go, we put them in one project where we pretty much had a button that said play this game or play that game. So after that, we added in the body map, we ported in the last game, Bloodstream Battle, and we updated our markers so that they spawn and they expand and get harder if you lose. We used version control, we used Git, which I know Mitch loves, and we also changed all of our art in Photoshop. So the basic game flow of our game, you come up to the main menu, which takes you to, you can continue game or create a new game. That'll take you to the main body, and you can go back and forth between these. Once you're in the main body, you click on any marker, any injury, and you play one of the games. Whether you lose or you fail, you come back to the main body, and either you have deleted that marker because you beat the game, or it got even more challenging because you lost.
Right, so here is on the left side of the screen is our initial concept art for what the main body would look like. As you can see in our current version, it looks pretty much the same. We have the map of Bill's body with little markers pointing to each area, and the color of the marker corresponds to how difficulty it is. If something's green, then it's probably a very low difficulty, like 1 or 2, and it goes all the way up to like brown red, nasty color, which is difficulty 10. And so each time you come back, a new marker has a chance to spawn, and there's also a infection spread rate where markers can have a chance to spawn one in all adjacent body locations, like the chest would be connected to the head, both the shoulders, and to the stomach.
So here you can see Artery Runner. It's based off of Flappy Bird. On the left side of the screen, you can see our original concept artwork, and on the right side of the screen, you can see what our game currently looks like now. It's just like Flappy Bird, where you play as a little character bouncing along through the screen, trying to dodge these obstacles, which are blood clots or cholesterol, things like that. Some of the AI topics using this, it's all based off of C# scripts in Unity. And I used some filtered randomness with the obstacle spawning to make sure you don't get any change where all the obstacles are the same height. And that's Artery Runner.
And Again, I worked on this virus defense. Here's our original concept art, and then the realization in the final game where it's based off classic missile command, where you command a couple cities, which are defense cells in the body, and you fire off little missiles to try to intercept the viruses coming at you. And it has, like was mentioned before, it has 2 modes where a certain number of missiles will come in, which is incoming targets, or an infinite number will come in and you have to do it on a time. Like you have 20 seconds and you have to fight them off for that period of time. And in this game, they implemented a lot of scripting and trigger systems to detect when things were hitting, that kind of stuff, to trigger events. And it also used, not really a little bit of filtered randomness, but kind of that kind of thing where we have points to spawn it up top, and it does kind of seed those points with the kind of filtered values, so they're not really all coming from one side usually.
The last mini game is the one that I did, Bucking Battle. So on the left is the concept art, on the right is the final game. We turned it from vertical to horizontal. And essentially you just shoot targets that are coming at you, and there's also formations of ones that will shoot back at you, and you have to avoid the missiles when they shoot back at you. So as far as AI topics, obviously there's trigger systems for balls when they fly, and formations for enemies when they, we have 3 different formations that we use for them to come at you. And so basically all the AI that we use, scripting, use C# for pretty much every game, trigger systems for pretty much every game, to filter randomness, and an artery runner, and formations in Bucking Battle.
So we had a few stretch goals that we wanted to achieve, but we weren't able to because of time, or that we're still currently working on. We wanted to get contextual art assets. So each injury of the body has like a different name kind of associated with it, a body part, and we wanted to have like, if your bone breaks, the contextual art of the game matches to kind of like an artery runner, there would be like little bone fragments that you have to dodge instead of like blood cells. And so we kind of wanted to make it more contextual, to kind of reuse our mini game and give them a different kind of feel to it. But we implemented a system that did that with enumerated types, but we couldn't have the time to get all those assets in there for every game and every injury. So we tabled that, and we have just kind of a little more generic look to the game. We also wanted to add more points. We have 16 points on the body that markers can spawn on, and that is a lot. Each of them has 16 points with 10 specific injuries. So there's a lot of different ones, but we did want to make a couple like special ones, like for organs, like your heart is wrong, or that kind of stuff, lungs, brain, that kind of thing. But again, we didn't have the time to do that, so we just have the 16. We did want to make a story where you kind of had to help Bill like recover through this hike as he goes home, but again, time became a factor, so we just kind of have a more infinite kind of thing spawn. We have to try to fix some way. But we also wanted to have power-ups where you could get medicine or that kind of thing and have them use them in the mini games to give you like a power-up if you were doing poorly or really needed to finish one, but we didn't have the time to implement that. And so for playtesting, we had roommates, fiancés, and Mitchell said just Bernie to playtest. And it was kind of a weird thing for our playtesting because, especially with Zach, me, and Eric, our specific mini games, we made them and we playtested them a lot while we were making them. So we're all really good at our own specific mini games, and we can't really playtest them anymore for difficulty because we're all pretty too good at it. Zach can't lose an artery runner, and I'm pretty good at virus defense, and Eric's okay-ish at Bloodstream Battle. But it's hard for us to playtest our own games, so we had other people actually playtest them before to try to refine those difficulties, and there's been a lot of refinement in doing that to try to get them 10 difficulties that scale really well, from really easy to impossibly hard. So speaking of that, let's get to the demo. So it is made for Android. It's native to 16:9 resolutions, which is pretty standard on phones. But you can still play it on the computer or anything else. It just uses pretty much just mouse controls at that point. So, yeah, well, this is the main menu. We have 3 options: new game, continue game, and exit. And we'll go ahead and start a new game. So that'll take us to the body map menu, where we have our body and then 3 markers. So let's just see what they are. So there have been sightings of internal bleeding. It's a virus defense difficulty 2. Let's see the next one. That showed signs of a broken hand, defense artery runner difficulty 2. And FMD recognizes symptoms of an amputated toe. Let's check that out difficulty 2. It's a lot of 2s. You want to do? I'll do virus defense first. So we play that. We'll take it into the mini game. And so now as we said before, you click and you fire off missiles to try to intercept the incoming missiles. And these games are made to be played pretty quickly, especially on the easier difficulties where it's not too much of a time commitment, where you can just kind of play one, be like, oh, that was fun, and then keep going. And they do get ridiculously difficult, but this is difficulty 2 of 10, so it's not going to be too hard to just breeze through. There we go, we won. We got score 26, awesome. And then that marker on the, cancel, and then that marker is gone. And we got a new one, good time defense. This is bad.
This one's hard.
Yeah, this one's actually a lot harder. So you have to survive for 25 seconds through a lot more missiles. Here it
Easy
goes.
to balance.
Yeah, this is one that we implemented very recently, and it is kind of hard to get the balancing right. So,
Got it.
you
Should be good
got
here
it?
now.
Nice.
Oh.
Yep. So that's the second hit.
Oh.
Another one.
Hey.
And yeah, so let's do our trigger runner. Can you do it?
I can do it.
Yeah, let's see. So this one, like we said, it's kind of like Flappy Bird, where you have to make it through these things. You get 3 tries on each one, and you have your goal up there and your current score. And if Eric makes it through, after you get past the goal, it becomes increasingly difficult, and it really gets actually pretty impossible really quick. So now that he's made it through, you can see they're kind of spawning closer, and a lot. So we won, and then what's that one? Bloodstream Valley. So this is the last mini game where we control this with movement, and then we fire at the enemies coming in.
You look so happy.
And see, that's one of the formations from those. And then once we get past difficulty, or the score of 25, the goal, it'll get quite hard.
This one's hard. It's hard.
You got it, Eric. Attaboy.
I guess impossible.
Yeah. And so, one of our specials I forgot to mention was we want to implement high scores. We have a system to get high scores, and here's where it gets really impossible now that we've won. Yeah, we wanted to keep track of high scores to record that kind of stuff, but again, kind of got ahead. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And
You
then
got
we,
the hard version?
oh yeah,
show
the hard version.
Yeah, show hard version.
So
Fail a lot.
yeah, so we have, the way we save is we just write to a text file, then we read it whenever we load. And you can actually manually replace those text files, and this one is really hard. So,
That's every point.
yeah, so this is all 16 points. And one of the things that we're going to work on really easily is just making them so they don't overlap. That's just that's These are really hard.
Bernie, too strong.
I've never won a difficulty tournament.
Sorry,
Me
no.
neither.
Oh my god.
So as you notice, as we lose, more of them get harder. So in the beginning, they weren't all red.
Oh my.
This one's good.
You got it.
Yeah. We got these.
I've gotten too good at Flappy Bird.
Yeah, that's what happens. Is through play testing this, we get a lot of practice on these games.
So peaceful.
Yeah, maybe we need some balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of the problem. It's hard to balance these games.
Put the bloodstream enemies in this one.
Yeah.
The mix.
I got this.
Oh man, my God.
Eric's got it actually. Look at that.
Dang.
Oh!
Great. Honestly, crazy virus defense. I haven't played that in a long time.
Time to play hard.
It's on the handle.
There we go. In this one, you actually have less ammo than
Oh,
the
no.
total amount
Oh,
of
you-
missiles coming at you. So
Wow.
it's really hard.
Oh no.
Good.
Wow. GG.
Oh
Alright, I'm
no.
just protecting this one on the right.
Reported.
We only got 22. That's also your ammo. You only have 3 left, too.
GG.
For 19 targets.
You killed 20 birds.
Collateral.
Oh man,
You got
the
yours.
last
Got it.
one.
So now they're all. So, yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, new game?
Oh, yeah, also. And you can also do continue, and we'll go back to that, or new will give you a new point when you mess it up so fully that you can't keep playing. So, yeah. And that's the game.
Any questions?
Any questions?
How do you save it?
It's automatically saved. Every time you exit from a minigame, it automatically writes to the file and saves it for you.
Why does Mitchell love kids so much?
Well, you see, me and Kit have a very special relationship.
There's actually a problem with that because each of us made one of the mini games. We all have project folders for our mini game, and then I accidentally gave Mitchell. Oh yeah, there you go. I accidentally gave Mitchell the job of organizing all of them in one, and I forgot that he hates GitHub. This has been awful. We've all had those problems. Hey, Gary.
Do you guys have any protections in place to prevent the player from like modifying their save game file?
No, on Android you can.
Okay.
I don't think, but on not on a computer.
That's something we'll look into.
We can encrypt it.
I mean, just put your-
So I guess like thematically, why did the games get more difficult if you actually accomplish the task?
No, they get more difficult if you lose. If you win, the marker goes away.
No, like in the actual game, the mini game itself, like once you reach the goal of 10, the viruses take over.
It's to keep you from. We wanted the mini games to be quick and easy, and Flappy Bird and Bloodstream Battle, you can just infinitely go if you're even decent at the game. So we implemented that in to just kind of cut you off in the game because we want you playing more mini games rather than one.
I guess thematically it doesn't exactly make sense, but it was more of a game mechanics. It's
Yeah.
just kind of, we didn't want to just be like, oh, you won, that's it. We kind of wanted you to be able to keep playing, especially because we were going to have high scores, which we do have in Bloodstream Battle on the individual project, but we didn't want to end it in.
Are you in the body map or in the mini game?
Like in the mini games, because
Yeah.
like the point of playing the mini game is to heal the injury, right? But then like the virus takes over if you beat it.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Did your playtesters comment on this though?
I don't know. They've been too
After
busy.
they won when they got to the goal, did they realize they got to the goal?
Yes.
Usually.
As a
player.
As a playtester.
As
As a playtester, yes.
Usually they're too busy panicking, like,
The goal is pretty clear.
It seems so. I agreed with Craig. I actually wrote that down too. I think you guys have an awesome game, but I would ask that question as to whether why not just give like a you succeeded message and the mini game right there. I guess isn't that a little bit more like a standard mechanism to use?
You can still try to get high scores. We were planning on implementing that. So if you just cut it off immediately when you win, it's hard to
You
get
can
your own
have-
personalized
You
score.
can have mission mode, you can have endless mode,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like if they already solved
Yeah.
an injury, you can go back and play on endless or something like that. Or
Yeah.
you can have a separate
We initially had a
entrance.
menu option where you could go in and just play the mini game itself if that's what you were looking to do.
Right.
But we didn't have time to put that in.
Yeah. So I think you're trying to if you are trying to do two things at once here with that, you might consider if you were going to continue working on this game, you might consider separating those out so that they're not two things. It's hard to sort of serve two purposes at once. One is to make the goal, but the other is to get high scores. It's hard to do that both in the same game. So I'm just suggesting you might split those off. Does anybody have other questions?
Yeah, my question is actually regarding the difficulty of the mini games themselves. I guess thematically speaking, it makes sense to make things easy if you are doing well in the mini games. I guess my only real concern is that it's just a snowballing effect really. Players that are doing well early on won't ever really get challenged from what I've seen, whereas players who kind of mess up at first will continue having an even more difficult time because the mini games get harder. Do you guys have an answer for that or is that what you guys were going for? Or?
Yeah, with my most recent update with the spreadable diseases, initially we had where Every time you come back to the body screen, a new marker would show up, and I think it was between like 1 and 4 as like an initial value, and that's pretty easy. You could reliably beat pretty much any game at that point. But with my recent update, based on the current difficulty of the minigames, there's a chance that it spreads to all adjacent body locations. And so eventually you'll have an infection spread to the other locations, and it will you'll have like a runaway train kind of.
Yeah, but also as a balance tool, they do, if you do win them often, so they're supposed to scale harder. Like they start off at difficulty 1 through 3, but then they do scale as it comes up. And they're supposed to. We're still working on the AI. That's like the last thing we were doing. We did just commit the kind of spreading, so we're still balancing it. But yeah, that is one of the kind of things to think about. But it's still kind of new. Before it was just random.
So you complete one of the points for a while. Does that one like get more difficult as you ignore it?
Yeah.
So that's how the difficulty is supposed to scale?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also gets more difficult if you lose a mini game.
Yeah.
It'll get more difficult.
So you guys went for the Punisher
Yeah.
model. You lose, it gets harder.
Yeah.
Life is cruel.
This one burning stabbing people.
Any other questions? Okay, let's thank the group.